Alright, hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another Roman history video. In this video, we're going to be picking up where we left off in the last video, where we talked about the 12 tables, and Cincinnatus, and all of that jazz. But, anyway, if you haven't seen that video, or the videos before it, you probably should watch them. It'll give you some context. Anyway, now that we're picking up where we left off, we see, this guy is Johnny Plebe, and this guy is Patrician, I guess that's what they represent. And, you see, last time we talked about the 12 tables and the creation of the law code, but there was one law in particular that really stuck in the craw of the plebes. They really disliked it, and they were ready to fight the patricians over it. It was Patrician Intermarriage, which at the time was banned. You see, the patricians didn't want to. The main reason was that the patricians didn't want to share with the plebes. There was something about, like, pure blood and stuff, but that's not how patricianhood worked in Rome. It went through the father, so if you're a kid and your dad was a patrician, then you were a patrician. That's all there was to it. So the plebes agitated for and received successfully the right to intermarry with the patricians. However, this now meant that, the patricians had one other problem facing them with the plebes, which was the consulship. Now, obviously the consuls were the big boys at the top of Rome, and the patricians did not want plebes holding that office, because usually a consul had some sacred duties, and the patricians were afraid that the plebes would anger the gods by failing to do the rituals properly, or just by being plebes, I guess. And basically, they decided to do something about it to appease the plebes, while also, keeping the consulship. So what they did was, they created a new office, which was called the Military Tribune. I'll type it out. Military Tribune. And you see, the Military Tribune was for plebes and patricians alike, and originally they started with 3 men, but the number grew as Rome grew, and basically the office of Military Tribune was just ruled by committee. So, as you can see, this guy, Johnny Plebe could become Military Tribune, but since it was shared by more than one person, the power was in effect watered down. Each Military Tribune had some consular power. But what they didn't have was possibly one of the most important offices in the entire Republic, and one that still lives on in some form today, which was the censor. I'll just type that out as well. And what the censor did was, originally, this duty was just given to the consuls, but what the censor did was decide, number one, was a person a Roman citizen, and therefore could they vote in the consular elections, and number two, was that person in, one of the 5 economic voting blocks of Rome. You see, because the more money you had, the higher up in the voting hierarchy you were. So basically, censor was a very important office, and the patricians created it so that the plebes could get less of the power. Censor was patrician only, of course, as you might have guessed. And, if you've got Johnny Plebe here, and he's on the dividing line between being, being middle class and being wealthy, for voting purposes at least, Perry the patrician could just shunt him down so that he couldn't exert as much influence in the election. And, that is, that's probably the main issue that was boiling in Rome. Now, we're going to talk about some of the other woes of the Republic. You see, the time frame I've been talking about so far, I should have clarified this, was between about 500 and 450 BC. I could get more precise than that, but I'm not really going to. This is an amateur history show. I'll get more precise as we get, closer to the, turn of the century, but, for now, let's just, go with that. Anyway, the Romans were facing a lot more ills than just political tension. What was also happening, for some unknown reason, was that between 500 and 450 BC, there was a big famine, and a lot of people died. Yeah, so this person died, and another thing that happened was maybe due to the famine, maybe not. Also, there was plague going around, so I'm just going to kill this guy here. And, there was famine, there was plague, and basically all of Rome's enemies took advantage of this. Because, you see, the hill tribes to the south, so I've talked about those previously, the hill tribes to the south were like, hey, Rome's weak, let's beat them up. And, they started doing such things as taunting them, even, they were openly grazing their flocks in Rome, so you can see at this point, Rome was at one of its lowest points. They say that, basically, a country's power waxes and wanes, and possibly because of the internal tensions, or maybe the internal tensions started because of the external tensions, Rome began to be really not so powerful. Its power was at an ebb, external tribes were attacking, it was not doing very well at all. And, despite this, the Romans still soldiered on, somehow. Every time one of their armies got killed, they were basically just like, haha, nerds, we've gotten more people. So, so they were fighting the hill tribes, which were formerly, I said a couple of videos ago, they were formerly very easy to deal with, and could be beaten very simply, but now, that wasn't happening. So, you see, the Romans were fighting the hill tribes, and then Romans died, but then they just raised another army, and this spirit of basically just, let's try it again, is common to the Romans throughout history. And I'll just, do this. And eventually, God knows how, the Romans beat back the hill tribes, and apparently got a handle on their famine and plague situation, and, Rome was kind of starting to pick up again. But then, another major foreign threat was on the rise. You see, remember when I talked about the Etruscans, in previous episodes, and how they were the major foe of Rome? Well, the southernmost city of the Etruscans, it was called Veii. I think I've talked about it before. And basically, Veii was a pretty important and prosperous and wealthy city. Maybe not so much as Rome, but still really quite wealthy, and a member of the other cities in the region, called the Etruscan League. So, anyway, Veii was the southernmost city, as I've said, and it was very close to Rome. But you see, Veii has been at war with Rome several times at this point, and they've decided to declare war again, for a couple of different reasons. Number one, sea trade. Veii was long, a major center of sea trade as the gateway to Etruria and the southernmost of the cities, and the best way to get stuff to other cities. So, this was the sea trade route. But, the main sea trading partner was the Carthaginians, and if you know anything about Roman history, you will know that, they are a name to be feared. But at this point, they're just an economic and military partner of Veii. But anyway, the Carthaginians used Sicily as a stopping point to get to Veii. But Syracuse, which was a Greek city-state, suddenly took power in Sicily. So pretend this is Sicily. I'm sorry, Italians, this isn't a very good drawing. But, Syracuse took over and kicked out the Carthaginians, and therefore Veii no longer had any sea trade. The second thing was that, for some reason, northbound trade, so from the south of Italy, which was Greek-controlled, up to the north of Italy, like that, seem to be drying up. We don't entirely know why, but there's a lot of hypotheses. But basically, it wasn't enough to support two cities, like both Rome and Veii. So, there was only enough trade to support one of them, so one of them had to go. It's like the whole Harry Potter deal. Neither can live while the other survives. And then that was the second cause. The third cause was that the Gauls, which were basically the first really migratory people, they were Celtic in origin, decided to start moving down into the Italian peninsula, and they were threatening Veii's trade southbound, so from the upper peninsula. And basically, all of this combined put Veii into a very bad position economically. So they decided to declare war on Rome. Here, which they had been doing, on and off, either when they were not actually fighting Rome, they were paying proxies to fight for them, so basically like the Soviet Cold War, and, now they were coming to blows, and this is where we see one of the most distinguished heroes of Rome, revealed. Now we're going to talk about, the hero in question, which is this guy, whose name is Lucius Furius Camillus. And Camillus was a dyed-in-the-wool patrician of an eminent noble family, and you can guess what bearing this had on his politics. So I'm just moving him around here so you can see him. So anyway, during the war with Veii, Camillus was basically put in charge of doing one or two things, which were mainly just attacking Veii's allies, which were called Falerii and Capena. And he did this extremely well. He attacked them, he beat them up, and he defeated their armies in a pitched battle. And because of this, guess what? He was named Dictator, which I'll put above his head because it's so interesting. Actually, you know what? As a matter of fact, yeah, there we go. That just shows how much of a gamer he is, right? Am I right? Yeah, I'm wrong. Well, give me a sec. I just need to group these. So anyway, Camillus was all like going in to Veii, and he did a couple of different things. He erected earthworks around the city, but the main thing he did was he got the Romans to sneak in through the sewer system and take over the city from there. And this was very good. And then he did a thing which really makes him very interesting, which is that he snuck into the city, he took it over, and then he basically burned it to the ground. He wanted to destroy the city and not just capture it. He killed all the able-bodied men and sold the women and children as slaves. And then he came back to Rome, and he did something which nobody had ever done before or had ever done since, which is just pretend this is a chariot. I'm sorry, I'm bad at drawing. He basically rode a chariot with 4 horses through the city, which no one had ever done before, and which was supposedly reserved for the king of Rome, which there wasn't any king anymore, so no, and the gods themselves. But he did it anyway, and so therefore, all of the citizens were like, "Dude, Camillus is a poo head. Yeah, let's get him out of here." But then you see, the plebes were agitating for more reform, which was... Yeah, I'm sorry, give me a sec. But then the plebes were agitating for more reform, which was basically just... like... I don't know how to describe it, but they just wanted more land, and that land would be on the site of Veii. And so they agitated for this so that, like, hey, we should have more land and it'll come at very little cost to the government, and it's actually a decent proposal. But then Camillus, being an opponent of the plebes, was like, boo, you guys are dumb, and basically dragged out this proposed legislation for so long that eventually it just got cancelled. This made him very unpopular with the plebes and with the more sympathetic patricians, and so basically they tried to attack him on charges of basically you're a poo head, but the formal charges were pretty much just like you embezzled money from the army while you were attacking Veii. And so our good friend Camillus went into exile. And yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment as well, and join the Discord, because that would be very nice.